Google has launched MusicFX, and to be honest, this tool just might end music production as we know it. Google Labs did release the first version last year as a test tool, but they've made some significant improvements since then, and now they have the best music tool, which is their generative AI text-to-music experiment. We're basically just going to test MusicFX out and see what type of music it's able to create, and I don't want to exaggerate when I say that I think this tool really has the potential to end music production as we know it. That's no exaggeration. So let's just test it out and see the different creations that it comes up with. If you first look at it, it's actually quite a very good interface. We have all the different options that they give. So sometimes they just give you options to help you when you create your prompt. You can start over when you want to refresh a new prompt, or you could go with I'm feeling lucky and it's able to generate something random. So in this case, just to start this off, we're going to say with I'm feeling lucky. So I have no idea what to expect, and based off what it will choose will be created. If we just go with something random, we're just going to go with an optimistic melody about the arrival of spring, full of joy and hope, tranquil flute in the background, upbeat with a gentle guitar riff. So that's just something completely random, and we'll just test it out. If we go into the settings, you can choose the track length, but for now we'll just keep it 30 seconds. And you can also have the option to loop the track, which means when it ends, it doesn't actually end, it just goes right back to the beginning, and it's like an endless song. So we'll just go with this one and see what it sounds like. Now if you take a look, what it does is really cool because it's able to break up the prompt into specific parts. So first, we'll start with something about the melody, then it's going to be arrival spring, so you can change these things. Let's say we want it to be winter, you'll be able to change that, or maybe we want xylophone or full of joy and hope, we can make it dreamy. So we can make these few changes that are going to change the song quite a bit, and depending on that, the song will sound different. But let's just hear what this generated, and this is just a random generation that it just was random words that came together. I think the big key thing that you'll notice here is that it's consistent. I think compared to last year, when you would have entered something like this, the track would have sounded a bit random and out of the place, and it wouldn't have a consistent sound to it. I think when you consider the fact that this is just a random text of a random melody describing it, saying like the arrival of spring, so it's like a classical song with a flute in the background and a gentle guitar riff, and you just think about how random that is, and it's able to create a cohesive song based off that. I mean, that is pretty insane. We can just hear this other generation, whenever you generate a track, generates two options. I genuinely think that's pretty good, but I think let's go with maybe something a bit more modern or something more relevant, because I don't think people are going to be really listening to anything quite like that. I mean, it might do well for like a video game or something like that, but at the end I'm going to enter a prompt that I tried yesterday and it just blew me away. I think if you also listen to this, that was actually pretty broad and basic. It didn't have anything unique to it. So I think another thing is if you can add in extra elements, like maybe make it soothing, or add in something like violins, or do these type of things rainy day, and like get more specific, the end result ends to be a bit more interesting. So let's just take this melodic techno, make it ethereal, and add in synthesizers on a rainy day. Now, if that isn't insane, if you're not blown away by that, I don't know what will blow you away. Again, as you can see, when I was able to add in more elements like ethereal, synthesizers, rainy day, it was able to come up with a lot more interesting song as compared to if I just did melodic techno. So those also gives you a bit of an idea of like what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a new track. You know, if you can give it those sort of nuances, it's going to give it a unique feel. But again, let's just keep testing on different sounds. And obviously I listen to a lot of hip hop music, so I'm going to try like a 90s hip hop track, incredible like soul sample, New York City credible beat. So again, 90s hip hop track, soul sample, New York City incredible beat. Let's see what it's able to come up with. And again, I think if you just notice, it's able to do all these different genres as well. So that's also what just makes it insane. It's able to identify all the different types of music. So if that hasn't convinced you that music production will never be the same again, I'm not sure what will convince you, because that is one of the most convincing 90s hip-hop track created purely using generative AI. And so we can even actually download this track, you know, maybe if you want to, you know, take it, loop it, make it an actual song, maybe do some work on it, like, you know, put it into a music DAW or something. But it just shows just how easy it is now that you can just type in a few things, and it even gives you the option to change. Maybe I want a 2000s hip hop track, and then it might give me something different. We can even just check the different the different creation that it made to show that it does do variety, and that all of these generations are unique. I honestly don't know how, but I genuinely heard a soul sample in there. Like, I'm not sure how it was even able to do that, but I heard it almost sounded like a soul song was sampled in this track. So honestly, it's just like at a point now where it's no longer about how long will it take before we get to the point where, you know, generative AI will be able to create music. But I think now it's at a point where it's here, and like, how is it going to change the modern landscape? Like, that's sort of like the environment that we're in. It's no longer like how far away are we from, you know, what we saw with Midjourney and what we saw with ChatGPT. Like, we're in that era already. You know, it's just a question of how long will it take before an app like TikTok has a feature like this, and essentially everyone is just going to be creating their own viral songs in just a few seconds. But the last prompt that I have is something that I actually entered in yesterday when I was just testing this out, and it came up with such a compelling beat that sounded like it was straight out of something a modern producer that's well known, that works with Drake or that works with, you know, 21 Savage or anyone, like one of these big artists. And I just heard it yesterday and I just couldn't believe how good it is. So obviously the generation that's going to come up today is going to be different from yesterday, because all of these are unique. But I just wanted to use the same prompt again and see if it was able to create the beat that I heard yesterday, which was absolutely unbelievable. And so again, you can see when it says optimizing the prompt, it's going to look at all the different aspects in the prompt that I've given. So again, That's just the point I'm trying to make. Like, we're no longer in an era of how long is it going to take before we have this generative AI that's making music that's just as compelling or just as good as what we would hear on the radio or on a Drake album. It's official that it's actually here, and it can be done by anyone. It all takes is just a few seconds of just entering a prompt, and there you have the track. Let's hear the final track from this prompt just to drive the point home. So what are your guys' thoughts? Are you going to be using MusicFX? How do you think this is going to transform the music landscape, the social media landscape, the entertainment landscape? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Again, you can also download these tracks if you enjoyed it. You can make those changes based on some of the tips that they give you here. But, what do you think? How is this going to change how we sort of appreciate these things? And what do you think the future has? I'd love it if you guys could share your thoughts. And yeah, we'll just continue to see how these things continue to evolve. But we're really in the AI era of music generation.